I want to welcome you back to the best kept secrets and supplements from New Wave Therapy. I'm Bob Burdikin, and once again joining me is Dan Young. Welcome, Dan. How you doing?
Exceptional, Bob. Always look forward to doing these videos with you.
Always like seeing you. Now, with today being our ninth episode in this series, we'll be continuing our discussion covering the immune system, and the product that we're basically going to cover is a product called HP VRX. And which it's been specifically designed to tackle problems that could directly affect the immune system. Am I going down the right path?
You're absolutely spot on, Bob. We love speaking to the immune system support that the tinctures provide.
Well, I'm glad that I'm starting to really understand this stuff. Now, before we get started, Dan, I'm curious, and a lot of the viewers have even asked me, has the plumbing problem gotten fixed?
Thank goodness. I don't have the rest of my wall up quite yet, but the carpet's dried out. The wall has no mold. Everything's fixed up perfect, and we're ready to keep shooting.
Well, that's good. So, Dan, I believe that I should start out today by asking you to explain what are the ingredients of HP VRX? What's the protocol for its proper use? And, how do you dispense it?
That's a great question. We're fortunate that we have our formulas in the tincture version as well as capsule version. The dispensing is quite simple. 2 capsules 3 times a day, a couple of droppers full 3 times a day. And the other thing I love about herbs is that you can be aggressive. I've had people take 2 or 3 droppers full of the VRX, at least every 20 to 30 minutes. They can have the VRX and actually, every 30 minutes or so, really pay attention, listen to how the body's responding to that natural support, and be aggressive for the first 2 or 3 days to really get on top of some of these really challenging immune challenges that people are having. And, when you think about the formula itself with, things like the elderberry or the hyssop, the olive leaf, the cat's claw, okay, you're talking about herbs. Astragalus, that's one of my favorites. Astragalus. You're talking about herbs that primarily in the VRX accomplish 2 things as a raw resource to the body. One is we're actually enhancing normal immune response and the potency of that immune system. But secondly, we're providing herbs that actually have what's referred to as a drainage effect or a drainage remedy. Back in the old days, the old early naturopaths really talked a lot about drainage, and we don't hear enough about that anymore. And thank God our formulas have captured those natural drainage herbs that help to clean up the debris, the excess proteins left behind by these invading pathogens, so that the body doesn't respond overly to what it thinks is still an immune challenge, when in fact there is no more immune challenge, but there's debris. And these things like astragalus and myrrh and hyssop help to sweep that away as well.
Well, we both know, I know, both my wife and myself, we used the HP VRX to cover the previous worldwide situation that's been around for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And with this Kagan HP VRX, we consistently stayed healthy, we stayed active, and we had no visual side effects or downtime in our busy schedules. And people kept asking us, how are you able to stay so healthy? And we would tell them about HP VRX or VRX. And they just said, wow, where can we get some? And, I try to tell them, but it's like, oh, it's not in a pill.
Yeah, you don't have to get a script.
Yeah.
You're touching on something that I find extremely important. Nature's botanicals, nature's pharmacy, if you will, have the innate ability to do 2 things where pharmaceuticals don't. The herbs have the ability to correct current concerns, naturally supporting the body's innate healing intelligence of the immune system. So it has the ability to correct and or prevent for the future. So it can be taken as a tonic for correction or prevention, and it can be taken aggressively over an extended period of time for the correction, because it supports what the immune system needs to do its job properly and efficiently.
That's so true. I want to take a step backwards. Let's go back to last week's podcast where we talked about HP yeast redux. And you took the time to explain to us its ability and how it worked effectively, and at the same time did so much good. But how can HP VRX improve on that?
There's two different types of immune challenges we're dealing with. When you talk about the yeast redux, we're talking about the gut microbiome, keeping that healthy. There's always a yeast component to a healthy microbiome, but it gets overgrown, it gets wrong sized. And a byproduct of that is it can mycelize, meaning it can actually extend down like little roots. The common term for that is leaky gut syndrome. And the yeast protocol will help eradicate the leaky gut activity that can take place, and also right size that environment of yeast that we all need. We have to have that there to process sugar and alcohol properly. And that's where the yeast redux comes in, where the VRX is really broad spectrum in its support of the immune system when it comes to any type of potential viral activity, pathology, things of that nature. Especially we're going through, the cold and flu season as we speak. And it's a wonderful preventative and or corrective agent to your immune system. It's not something that goes after bugs, supports your immune system's ability to do its job the way it was designed.
Okay. What I'm getting out of these last two podcasts that are really dealing in the immune system, and it turns out to be you got to have a properly operating immune system. And all the main functions, it has to be able to recognize that there's good cells and there's bad cells. And as well, it has to be able to determine which ones need to be in the body and which ones are foreign and need to be eliminated. Am I starting to really understand this stuff?
You're really touching on something that's so important, because now we're getting into the reason and the clinical evidence of autoimmune problems. And we have in America, we've got over 160 different autoimmune problems. And the reason for that primarily is that there's leftover debris of foreign proteins from pathogens that the body hasn't had a chance to sweep away. And those presence of that pathology, those proteins, artificially stimulates the immune system to keep responding. And so we develop these potential autoimmune concerns, where with VRX and the way that nature's botanicals, nature's pharmacy put it together for us, is that not only does it enhances the immune system response, but it also helps to sweep away debris left behind that will artificially keep stimulating that immune system so it can calm back down and modulate itself in a more harmonious way. So it's really accomplishing two things: prevention or correction, and or the cleaning up of the environment with the hyssop and the astragalus and the cat's claw, myrrh. These are the things that help the body to eliminate the potential pathology that would trigger more and more immune system response when it's really not necessary. So it's kind of a twofold protocol in that aspect.
Dan, I imagine that diet and hygiene can also play really big roles in the overall aspect of maintaining a healthy immune system. And I'm sure that you've got some thoughts on that area as well.
It's one of the things that we really, really, really caution folks against when it comes to their diet: processed sugars and with the dairies. Too much egg protein, too much dairy creates a very mucosal situation in the body. And then the sugars create inflammation, robs our systems, really depletes the minerals and vitamins necessary for the immune system and other systems of the body to maintain optimal performance. And so we really, really encourage folks to lay off the milks, lay off the dairy and eggs, really cut out the refined processed sugars, which is nothing more than gas on a fire with these situations, especially when we're dealing with potential respiratory challenges that go along with this type of topic. So yes, the dietary factor really plays a key role in helping these people get well and then stay well longer in the future.
So, we all know that there are so many different ways to combat these kind of problems. And as long as there's different ways to reach the same result, why is it that people should choose to use HP VRX?
It's a great question. One of the things that I found is that modern medicine is amazing in many ways, but the pharmaceutical model has positioned the person to have to heal twice. They still have to get over the bug, and then they have to get over the toxic effects, the byproducts of taking a pharmaceutical drug. With herbals, the nature's pharmacy, nature's botanicals, what happens is that you can take it as a preventive tonic and or a corrective measure to boost that immune system naturally, get it operating optimally. And there's no negative side effects, so the body doesn't have to heal twice. It rises to the occasion. It's supported naturally with nature's pharmacy, and there's no toxic side effects that it has to try and overcome once the immune challenge has subsided. So it's a really kind of a 1-2 punch combination that doesn't produce these nasty side effects.
Okay. Is this another concern that you run across regularly in your clinical setting?
We see immune support requirements. And again, because of diet and lifestyle, but also the massive amount of stress that, levels of stress now in our country, the last few years have been at an all-time high. Doesn't seem like they're going to be allowed to subside anytime soon. And there's a factor in people staying chronically ill. So with these types of things, we're finding that immune support as a tonic or a preventative is being required more and more by most people that we see in the clinic.
Okay. Is there any other product that would sort of boost the effectiveness of the HP VRX?
There is one that we haven't spoke about yet. It's the HP FBG. And that is only 2 herbs found in there, star anise and some elderberry, but it's really great on the mucosal side of things. People that are really struggling in the respiratory area, too much mucus and congestion, right in the respiratory area. It's wonderful for supporting the natural body's response to eliminating these things, getting it under control. And so if there's a respiratory component, VRX, amazing. But if you want to really supercharge it, add in the FBG on top of that, be aggressive with it, and it really, really corrects the respiratory challenges that people are seeing.
And that's really great. This is the second episode that we've been really concerned with the immune system. And we've covered, now 3 very good products. There was the HP Yeast Redux, HP VRX, and the HP FBG. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And there are other products that we'll be covering that pertain. We're going to cover any other products that pertain directly to the immune system.
There's a couple that do come to mind. I think are very noteworthy. It's the HP Rest Free protocol for breathing, and then also the HP Lobelia, which many herbalists use lobelia as what's referred to as a lead sheep herb.
Okay.
Meaning that wherever lobelia goes, the rest of the support kind of follows. Okay. It's wonderful for helping to normalize the central nervous system function and just enhances everything that we're trying to accomplish with all of our protocols, whether it's structural support, hormonal support, digestive, and immune system support. So those are 2 that really are highly used in our clinic and highly recommended given the different situations people will have with breathing and or just really improving the quality response to the herbs that they're already taking.
Well, Dan, I'm really starting to feel that these podcasts that we've created, and they cover the various aspects of the human body. And these have been very beneficial to many people, not as many as those that have gone to your clinic. But I feel if we're just able to help one person find a healthier lifestyle, it's going to make it all worthwhile. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally agree. The word needs to get out. People need to know that these resources are available to them. One of the things I talk about with my clients all the time is, you really can't afford, nor do you want to get involved with the modern medical approach to health care these days. It's just become so challenging to navigate. Why not just stay healthy rather
Right.
than wait around for something to happen? And with prevention, nature's botanicals, that's totally possible and is achieved on a daily basis with
Yeah.
these products.
You know, all of the products that we've covered, or even will cover in the future in this series, are available through our website at newwavetherapy.com. We've got a direct link for Country Doctor Herbals there. And with that, we've reached the end of another podcast. And here's where I want to remind our viewers, both returning and new, we still upload a new podcast to YouTube each Monday. Now, we're also starting to load the same podcast to other platforms such as Rumble, Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And they're all listed as New Wave Therapy Podcasts if you look for them. So if you haven't already done so, please like, share, subscribe, as well as give us a thumbs up. And that helps the algorithm. And do hit the notification bell so you'll be able to be notified when we do upload the new podcast. Along with hitting that like button, these are all the actions that truly make this series grow. So until next week, when Dan and I will bring you more of the best kept secrets and supplements, be safe and be healthy.